guys have been hearing me for the last few days talking about Turning Point USA. So Turning Point USA, I like to watch because I feel as though they say things that most people are thinking but won't say. There is one beef that I have with them, and this is it. I keep hearing the rhetoric that racism doesn't exist systemically. That's a lie. I mean, you're gaslighting to say that. The other day, Xavier and I were at Walgreens, and we literally watched while this guy tried to run out of the store with like some Easter gift for like a little girl and some toilet paper. This person is pleading with security that he needs the toilet paper, that it's for his family. You don't understand how it feels to not be able to wipe your butt until you don't have any money to wipe your butt. Okay? Now, what happens when you don't have money for things like toilet paper? Okay, so what happens when you don't have money for things like toilet paper, we can naturally conclude that you probably also don't have money for things like shoes, clothes, etc., and so forth. Now, if you don't have money for those things and you're a family unit, who in the family is probably going to take it upon themselves to steal those things? The father, right? Because when we value traditional gender roles, we're not going to ask a mother who's postpartum or a mother who's sitting home cooking for the children that she has to go commit a crime to obtain those things. So the father, in a traditional gender role, honoring the woman, is going to put that burden on himself, and he's going to go to the store and he's going to commit that crime. So he goes to prison. Now we have fatherless households. Poverty is a result of slavery. Most poverty, okay? And there are white people who were slaves too, but for the overwhelming majority, let's look at the civil rights era, okay? You are blatantly denying the reality of a huge portion of Americans when you say things like, this type of racism doesn't exist. When we fill our prison systems with people who are in prison for committing crimes that they needed to commit to take care of their families, I'm not saying it's acceptable. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is whether you find it acceptable or you can understand it or not, denying that it took place and that it exists is not the answer. We've overcrowded our prison systems with people who have been committing crimes to support their families. There are people who go in there for other reasons, yes, but we need to, Turning Point USA, this is for you, address it. You are the most intelligent group I have ever met, I've ever seen, I've ever heard. You speak on things that are real and they make sense. Acknowledge that there is a such thing as systemic racism. Acknowledge that we put these people, these tremendous demographics of people in this position, and acknowledge that we can fix it. We can fix it fairly simply. As I said before, there are studies where people who are wealthy people were put into studies for 100 days, 300 days, whatever this remote period of time is, and they were given no money. Then they were put through the same thing with a stipend of as little as $300 to $400 a month. A month. All of a sudden, no one's going to prison. All of a sudden, no one's stealing toilet paper. All of a sudden, the police are not being, called heavily to respond to these areas. As little as $300 to $400 can keep people from committing these crimes, but we continue to choose to do what with this money? Where is this government funding going? Acknowledge it. Stop gaslighting, saying that it doesn't exist. That's not the answer or the solution. It exists. I agree with you. No one should be stealing or doing this and that. So let's